I'm excited to have back on the show Dan Harary. He is a Hollywood published author, and he's here today to talk about his second book, After They Came. Welcome, Dan, and congratulations on your second book.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, you see it right there, After They Came. So tell us, it's a sci-fi book, but can you tell us, it's timely too, but can you tell us a little bit what inspired you to write the book?
Sure. Thanks for having me back. I enjoyed talking to you last year about my other book. The inspiration to write this book was right after my father died. Right after my father died, like a few days later, I was sitting at a deli in LA where I live, waiting for my sandwich, and there was a paper placemat on the table, and I asked the waiter for a pen because I just wanted to doodle, waiting for my sandwich. And as I just was sitting there, and you know, some people call it divine download, or Paul McCartney dreamed the song yesterday. He dreamed the song yesterday. It was a dream.
Yeah.
I was sitting there doodling, and something happened. It went into my head, and I remembered a remarkable event that happened with me and my father in 1970. Okay, so my dad died in 2017. 1970, I was 14 years old. My dad and I were in his car. He picked me up from school. It's about maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's daylight. We're driving through my suburban neighborhood in New Jersey near Asbury Park, which is famous because of Bruce Springsteen. Anyway, so we're driving home, and an enormous silver V, like the letter V, this giant craft just was over our car. So we're in the car, and then this craft just was hovering, and it was like one of the pyramids of Egypt. I mean, it was just this huge silver thing, right? And it was hovering over my little suburban neighborhood in New Jersey. So I go, Dad, I'm 14. Dad, stop the car, UFO, stop the car, UFO. So my dad pulls the car to the curb. We get out of the car. We look up, both of us, I'll never forget it. We look straight up, and I'm jumping up and down. Dad, look what we're seeing. Dad, it's a UFO, we're seeing it. My dad looked at it, Christine, like he was looking at like a head of lettuce at the supermarket. Nothing, no expression, nothing. He didn't register shock, surprise, no expression on his face.
It didn't faze him. Like it didn't faze him. Like it just like.
Think about that, okay? Just if you and I saw that together, we would be like probably crying, right? We'd be hugging and crying and go, oh my, look at this, is unbelievable. Aliens exist. Look, you could nothing. Okay, that happened in 1970. All right. I forgot about that for decades. And that's the most important. I think that's the most remarkable part of this whole story. I forgot that sighting had ever happened. I just forgot about it. So now 2017, I'm at a restaurant waiting for my sandwich, and that moment with my dad came back to me. It like a movie. It came from the sky into my brain, and it's like I watched it like a movie. And I realized my dad had no expression. But better than that, Christine, he winked at me, and then he said, let's go home. Oh. My father winked at and said, let's go home. Okay. We went home. I called the local, I'm 14. I just called I go, hi, my name is Danny. I just saw a UFO with my father. I called the local newspaper. And the lady said, young man, I can't talk to you right now. I'm getting so many calls about this sighting. I can't talk to you right now. Okay. So after my father died and I'm waiting for my sandwich, I remembered the event itself, and my father had no expression. But then I remembered that he winked at me. And I was like, oh my God, my father knew what that was. Mm-hmm. Right? So when that hit into my brain, I took the pen from the waiter and I wrote down, man finds out his late father worked with aliens. I just wrote that down. And then I wrote down the letters ATC. I didn't even know what that was. I wrote down capital ATC, and then I put, okay, after they came. All right, after they came, what does that mean? Aliens come, and they meet a guy, me, my character, in real life. And this guy finds out that decades earlier, his father had a relationship with these aliens, but he never knew. So the skeleton of the book came to me, and then I got my pastrami sandwich, you know. So that's where it came from. It was just kind of divine. I don't know. I can't really even explain it.
Yes, it's like when you said divine, it was like it was that moment there. I need to write this book, and you've seen 3 UFO sightings, is that right?
Yes.
Like,
I,
tell us about it.
sure.
Wow.
Well, the first one was the one with my father in 1970. In retrospect, all right. Oh, so here's what I left out for you and your audience. My father worked for the U.S. Army for 45 years, and he
Mhm.
was an electronics engineer. He designed systems for radars and drones and missiles. So everything my father did, he designed things that flew in the sky. Everything my father did flew in the sky over Russia, North Vietnam, wherever my father always said, I helped America win the Cold War. So everything he created was to spy on our enemies, but everything he created was in the sky.
Mhm.
So that was the first sighting with my dad. So there are theories, Christine, in the UFO world that engineers reverse engineer crashed UFOs. UFOs have been crashing around the world for hundreds of years. But, you know, the Roswell crash, the famous one, Roswell 1947, there are people who swore on their deathbed that that really happened. Military people said this really happened. We cleaned it up. We saw 4 dead bodies. They were sworn to secrecy because the military said, you can't tell anybody about this, top secret. You can't tell anyone. Anyway, so I think my dad maybe had something to do, maybe with reverse engineering, because he saw something in the vault when he was his first week at the Army base. My mother told me after he died in 1951, they showed him something top secret in the vault. And they said, you can never tell anyone as long as you live what you saw today. So I don't know. I really don't know if he was involved, but I like to think that he was, based on how he reacted to an amazing UFO sighting and had looked like he was bored. It was almost like he was saying, you know, I should have used more silver paint on the back, on that wing in the back there. It was like he was looking at his car drive by the, it was just,
Yeah.
it was incongruous. What his reaction and what we were seeing was incongruous. It just made no sense to me.
Yes, and he winked. So there's,
It's
you know,
it's
he,
unbelievable. Like he was in on something and he couldn't tell me, but he gave me this little. So that was the big one, the first. Many years later, 1996, I moved to LA in 1980. So in 1996, I got divorced and my children were small and my ex-wife moved out to Lancaster, California, which is a good hour and a half from LA. It's in the high desert. So I used to spend weekends with my kids out there in the high desert. And the sky, you know, LA, there's a lot of smog and stuff.
Mhm.
Can't really see the stars too well. But out there, it's clear sky. You can see everything and the stars. So my son, I think my son was 8, I believe, 1996. And I bought him a telescope. And we were looking out in his backyard in Lancaster. And we saw beautiful stars. We saw Saturn. I think maybe we saw Mars. We saw cool stuff. Then he had to go to bed, so put my son to bed. I went back outside just to take down the telescope. And as I looked up, there was a bright white, sort of yellow white light. I'd say it's the shape of an egg. And it was in the far right-hand corner of the sky, and then crystal clear sky, dark sky, lots and lots of stars, perfectly clear. So a bright egg shape in the right-hand side of the sky, very bright, and it was going pretty quickly in a straight line across the entire sky. And I thought, wow, a satellite. There's a satellite, has to be a satellite. Or, you know, or a meteor, comet, or asteroid, but it looked mechanical to me. So I said, wow, you know, there's this, clearly it's a satellite. Couldn't be more obvious. So it traveled across the sky, and Christine, then it stopped. in place. It stopped. And I'm like, I wonder what happened. And then about 30 seconds later, it reversed course and it went back the same way it came from, all the way across. And I'm like, holy God, that's not man-made. That's not an asteroid. That's something we don't know what that is, but that's not right. I was like looking around like, where's the TV camera for when you need one, you know?
For sure.
So I just thought, okay, well, clearly that's it. That's not man-made. I don't think anything could be that high, go that fast, stop, and then reverse course.
Mm.
I just don't think we have anything like that. So that was the second sighting. Third and last sighting I had was in 2008. Now I'll back up a little bit. Do you know what MUFON is? Have you ever heard of MUFON?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's fine. So MUFON is the Mutual UFO Network. It's lunatics like me, all from all over the world, who are into aliens and UFOs. It's, you know, tens of thousands of people around the world belong to MUFON. So in 2007, I joined MUFON LA's chapter. And I started going to the seminars, and they show documentary films, and they have guest speakers and panels and experience. They call it experiencers. There are people who see UFOs. There are people who claim they've been abducted. There are people who are friendly with aliens. You know, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Some of these people were fascinating. Some you think they're just batshit crazy. You know, it's hard to say. But anyway, I joined MUFON in 07. And then the next year in 08, there was a man named James Gilliland who gave a presentation. James Gilliland is like he's like a cleric. He lives in Washington State, and he has a huge ranch at the base of Mount Adams, which is one of the great mountains in the Pacific Northwest. And it's a famous UFO hotspot, his ranch. People come from all over the world for decades. People from NASA, people from the government, people from the FBI. People come because there are so many sightings there on a regular basis. So in 08, I had a girlfriend, I took her there. We spent the 4th of July weekend at this ranch. During the day, they had panels and seminars and documentary films and lectures and things. And then at night, people built a big bonfire, and they'd play guitars and sing songs and play tambourines, and people were dancing around the fire. And essentially trying to conjure up a sighting, a UFO sighting. So the first night, Friday, I'm there, my girlfriend Barbara, and we're looking for hours. You know, your neck hurts after a while. And nothing happened. Okay, fine. And Saturday night, the second night, we're there hours and hours. We're looking, nothing at all. Okay, so then the last night was the Sunday night, and we were there again for a couple hours. And I said, Barbara, you know, let's just go home and beat the traffic because there's so many people here. Let's just like leave early. And right after I said that, a very large thing, I don't know what the hell it was, but it was a large thing. It was brilliant emerald green light, a brilliant emerald green light that came out of absolutely nowhere. It flew directly over, there were about 300 people. So it was about a couple hundred feet in the sky, directly above us. And then it hovered there. And it flashed its lights on and off about 3 or 4 times, as though to say, hello, we're here. Nice to meet you. You know, we see you, we recognize you. We wanted to just say hello. It literally, you could tell from the flashing that it was a hello. And then it just vanished. It just took off and it vanished. I started to cry. People were crying. People were hugging and kissing. Like, oh my God, what an amazing thing that we just saw. So when I left the weekend, it almost felt like a religious experience, that third one.
Wow. I know it just recently came out, your book, but what's the feedback been like?
Well, the quotes I got from the major UFO researchers, I did that. I'm a publicist, so you know I know how to promote things. I got them last fall. I got them months in advance. You know, you have to get something like that months in advance. But these are, I now have, as of today, I just got another one. I now have 7 major UFO people who have embraced this book. 7. Not one of them had said it's crap, it's horrible, I threw it in the trash. There's something about this book, between my father's story, my personal interest, and my timing. The fact that my book came out the week that 3 craft were shot down over Canada, it just seems to be maybe karmic, maybe fate. I think my timing was very good. So this weekend I was at UFO Con in San Francisco. 2 weeks ago, earlier this month, I was at Alien Con in Pasadena. That was huge. Alien Con was thousands of people. UFO Con was a couple of hundred people. Lots of people have books out there on this topic, but the books that I've seen, many books, they're nonfiction. They're nonfiction. They're, I was abducted. They are the history of UFOs. There's the history of Bigfoot. I'm actually reading the history of Bigfoot. Some guy wrote, it's fascinating. He has unbelievable pictures. Unbelievable pictures are in this book. The history of Bigfoot in North America. It's fantastic. I'm the only person right now that I know of that wrote a science fiction book about benevolent aliens who come to Earth and to save mankind. And at both shows, I sold about 30 books at the 2 shows. Everyone who bought my book said, wow, benevolent aliens? I need to read about that. Why? War of the World, Independence Day, these other movies and shows. Aliens come to kill us or eat us. They come to kill us or eat us or to wipe us out. I wrote a book, like Nick Pope said, a book of wonder and hope. So my book is, the storyline to my book, everyone who bought it said, I haven't heard about a book about the devil and aliens. I'm like, really? Why do they have to be evil, right?
Yeah.
Why do they have to be mean? Why do they have to kill us and eat us? Why? Why can't they be nice? Why can't they end the nuclear age, cure disease, reverse climate change, eliminate guns, end global famine? These are all the things that my aliens do in my book. They end all of mankind's problems.
I've researched, but I wanted you to tell the story because I knew about your dad, Jack. Anyway, I'm going on here, but I wanted to let you know I did my research and I wanted you to tell the story, and it was really awesome. So
listen, my father was beloved to me. I miss him. I dream about him still. I've seen him in dreams. I've seen him in dreams and said, Dad, what are you doing here? You're dead. In dreams. And I said, you're dead. He goes, I know, but I wish I wasn't. Can you imagine? He said that to me at least 3 or 4 times in dreams. He's still here. My dad's still here.
Yes.
And I like to think that he'd be smiling. He would be laughing. I know he'd be laughing because there's no aliens. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But my mother got a kick out of it, so maybe my father would. But anyway, come to LA and I'll take you out for dinner and I'll give you copies of all my books. I'll sign them.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan, so much.
Sure,
Okay.
my pleasure. My pleasure. Take care.
Yep. Bye.